So the other thing is having a dialogue that you can actually share with the consumer where it is just time to go, where you realize you know the value you bring to the transaction and they don't understand your value and won't accept your value, that there's just so much drama or trauma that you just need to move on, that this is not healthy for you. Now, in the reality, guys, is sometimes you literally have to swear to it that at the end of this conversation, you're no longer doing business, because some people enjoy the trauma so much and the drama that they're inflicting on you that that customer doesn't want it to end. That client actually has a warpness to their personality that they enjoy this. And that at a certain point, you have to make the decision, right? Where you can take control of your own business. It's important that you understand that. And so my thing, and I don't mean to joke about this, it'll sound a little bit, but it's not you, it's me, right? But there's a real truth to that. So how the dialogue goes is basically, the outside is that you kind of have looked at this. I get the feeling that this is not working well if I've read this correctly. And you've lost confidence in my ability to get the job done, right? So you're acknowledging that things aren't going well. They've lost confidence in your ability to get the job done. I always switch into then, I take these, when I go to work with someone, I do it in good faith that I'm going to get the job done for you. And at this point, I believe I don't have the ability to do that. I've lost confidence, you've lost confidence in my ability to get it done, and quite frankly, I've lost confidence in my ability to make you happy and find what you're looking for, whatever that situation is, or get it sold for the price you're looking for, if that's a listing, what that situation is, and it's not fair to you. So what I'd like to do is just, we can end this relationship now. You can list with whoever you want to. You can find another client. You can find another buyer's agent, whatever that situation is. Because if there's 6 months left on your listing contract, or 6 months left on your buyer's contract, that 6 months from now, 3 months from now, I'd rather have you as a friend than you be upset with me. And I think that's what I would like to do. And just move it forward that way. I sometimes will let my voice trail off. So let me do it quickly so I kind of explain what I'm doing. So I understand, I'm getting the feeling that I'm just not showing you the houses you're looking for, and that you've maybe lost confidence in my ability to find you that house. Quite frankly, I think I've lost confidence in that same thing, and it's really not fair to you. I take these relationships on that I'm able to get the job done, and I don't believe I can get that done. And maybe at this point it just makes sense that you can find another agent and move on from here. And then, because honestly, we've got another 6 months to go. 6 months from now, I'd rather have you as a friend than you be upset with me and frustrated that you haven't found that house. And I could be wrong. Maybe someone else can find you that house. If it's a listing, maybe someone else can get you that price. But at this point, it just makes sense that we kind of end this right now. Does that make sense, guys? So that's you got to be very comfortable in being able to say that, understand how it goes, acknowledge it, then explain that we're going to end it. Now, this is the thing, guys. By the way, there is also a sales techniques that you take something away from somebody, right? You take it away because then they want it, say, well, hold it, and sometimes they will do this. If it's truly someone that's a nut job that you want to get away from, you have to swear, no matter what they say, we're done, right? We're going to sign a release, not one more transaction, not one more house. Honestly, when I look at most litigation, almost every single agent will say, oh my gosh, I knew better, but I thought I'd just get this one deal, and if it didn't, then I was going to, then we were going to part ways. Guys, you have to, when it's a nut job in it, you have to part ways. Sometimes you can use this a little bit where they say, well, hold it, you really don't want this listing? They may think that agents are so greedy for the commission that you wouldn't walk away for a commission. And all of a sudden you're saying, well, no. I don't believe we can do this under these circumstances. That then one, they will either get their behavior or they'll list the price properly, etc. So that case, maybe it would make sense to continue. But if they're a true, really, I don't like the term nut job, but it's truly someone who's going to drag you into litigation, you have to cut the tie right there. So it's important that you understand the difference between the two, because some will want to jump back in, right? Some will they don't want this to go away. They're enjoying the time. You might not be enjoying it, but they may be actually enjoying this trauma they're putting you through. So in those cases, you do have to terminate this. The other thing, guys, these are skills that I think are very important. The feel felt found will help you avoid this, but at a certain point when you cut, being able to do these things is going to be very important. And the reason is that when we worked with buyers in the past, you know, if a buyer decided not to work with you, they would just kind of ghost you, right? Sometimes, I mean, I know agents that don't want to admit to this, but if they had a buyer they weren't crazy on working with, they would kind of just maybe ghost the buyer a little bit, maybe not return the calls as quickly, etc. And that would just, the relationship would just fade out. Guys, this is a different situation now. You know, before this was always taught working with listings because they were under contract, that exclusive right and had to work with you. This is going to change, and honestly, I think this will be a skill that's even more important because you can kind of, with buyers now, they're going to be under a contract. You are going to have to learn how to do this because some of them you really truly will want to end the relationship. Maybe up front you set the rules and boundaries of what days you were showing houses, the time frames, notices, etc. And then all of a sudden they only want to see houses on Sunday mornings. They don't care about your things. You're under a contract with them. You literally will have to exit from that contract with some kind of release. Okay. Maybe they just become so unreasonable. Oh, I understand, and they're writing offers now $30,000 under list price, which makes no sense, right? So you're going to have to learn these skills because it's going to be a much different situation now that all buyers are under contract. Guys, just as long as I'm discussing that, to throw another thought out. When it kind of comes of who you're going to work with, maybe a little on the nuttier side or a little on the more difficult side, that you can kind of work with more difficult sellers. And you can take a chance on more difficult sellers because one, you have more control over the relationship, how that works. And then the relationship ends. At the end of the closing, they get their check and they move on. The thing about a difficult and a nutty buyer, truly one that's just has unreasonable expectations, is that it doesn't end. Once you sell them the house, it may be the start. If they live in there for the next 4 years, they may be calling you with concerns that are just not reasonable, right? It doesn't go away. They're in the house, right? So you have to be you have to weigh those things when it comes to buyers and sellers. And this is a skill that you need to practice and get good at it, and even the identifying, because I think it's never going to be more important now that you can't work with a buyer unless you have them under a contract.